Downtown News and Sport at 7 o'clock, Mervyn Jess reporting. Time's running out for the jobs of 1,900 British Enkelong workers in Antrim. They go on 3 months' notice on Monday as talks to avert a shutdown continue. 750 jobs are already doomed in the polyester plant, but it's hoped the nylon sector can be reprieved. The IRA say they murdered an off-duty UDR soldier in Belfast's Cromwell Street this morning. 25-year-old John David Smith from North Bank in the Craigie area was shot on his way to work. Earlier, a 21-year-old man and his 12-year-old brother survived a murder bid in their High Park Drive home off the Springfield Road. Gunmen fired through a bedroom door, hitting the young man in the eye with wood splinters. Ex-London policeman Peter Swindell has been cleared of murdering prostitute Patsy Butch Malone, but he's got 5 years for preventing her burial. Rory McLeod reports.
Peter Swindell had been a policeman for 20 years. Some of his career had been spent as a diplomatic protection officer outside number 10 Downing Street. At the start of his trial, the Old Bailey jury had been told by Mr. Justice Payne, "There'll be some gruesome details in this trial. If you're liable to faint at the sight of blood, say so now." The Old Bailey court heard how Swindell was a disgrace to the Metropolitan Police. He was said to have taken prostitutes back to his terraced home in North London to take part in bondage and mock executions. Swindell was said to have cut up Patsy Malone's body into little pieces in his bath, using a hacksaw and a knife. He put the macabre remains in 3 black rubbish bags and dumped them in Epping Forest.
400 customs officers here have staged a 2-hour walkout to press home the civil service pay demand. Posts along the border and VAT offices in Belfast, Coleraine and Lisburn were hit when staff heard cross-channel colleagues are being threatened with suspension. Irish rugby star John Robbins quit his job with Guinness Breweries after they'd blocked his bid to go on the controversial tour of South Africa. The firm refused him leave to coincide with the trip, and he's now resigned from his post as a trainee manager. 9 sailors on the Royal Yacht Britannia have been thrown out of the Navy for homosexual activities. They'll serve 90 days behind bars before being sacked. Another rating's been cleared, with a decision still to be made about an 11th crewman. Paul Beard has the story.
All 9 members of the Britannia's crew sentenced today were found guilty on charges under either the Naval Disciplinary Act or the Sexual Offences Act. Although homosexual acts are legal between consenting civilians, they're illegal for members of the armed forces. Most of the charges on which crew members of the Royal Yacht have now been sentenced are understood to have taken place whilst the men were ashore in Portsmouth. 6 of the ratings found guilty were sent to prison or detention quarters for periods of between 48 and 90 days, the heaviest sentences going to the oldest and most senior sailors. All those convicted have been stripped of their long service and conduct medals.
Downtown News at 10 o'clock, Mervyn Jess reporting. The government's ploughing £10 million of emergency aid into the farming industry here. Secretary of State Humphrey Atkins has told the Farmers' Union that it's a short-term measure while a long-term review is carried out. The extra cash will top up 2 schemes already in the pipeline, that for the so-called less favoured areas and for the feed processing industry. East Belfast MP Peter Robinson says the police and army have launched a black propaganda campaign against himself and Aine Paisley. Mr Robinson alleges a special smear task force has been set up by the government to discredit them, and he says the claims are based on reliable information.
I have 3 sources, incidentally. I'm quite sure of the information I have. I know what's going on. We knew for some considerable weeks, and indeed we have been trying to send them here and there in a merry dance around the country with information that was not accurate, because we knew that they happened to be having their ears open to what we were saying. But we proved that we were able to mount a major campaign on the Antrim Hills, and the security forces and the Northern Ireland office didn't know about it until they heard it on your news bulletin at 6 o'clock the next morning. That's what's really annoyed them. They're now trying to get the information before the next event happens, but they'll just be as unsuccessful as they were on the last occasion.
This is Midnight Newsline with Mervyn Jess. And the headlines tonight: Ardoyne man shot dead in Belfast. £10 million boost for farmers. Robinson reveals smear campaign. And the Glen stretch Irish League lead. man's been shot dead in Belfast's Ardoyne area. The victim in his mid-20s was hit in the head by a volley of bullets from a passing car at the junction of Cranbrook Gardens and Berwick Street. It's believed he lived close by. Police are trying to trace an orange and a white car which passed at the time. Anyone with information is asked to contact CID at Tennant Street on Belfast 740414. That's Belfast 740414. It's the second murder in the city inside 24 hours. An off-duty UDR soldier was gunned down in a breakfast time attack in the markets.